At the Fortean Slip. Dun, 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 dun. Dee, dee, dee. Oh shit! I gotta change that. God damn it, Katie.
What?
Because I fucked up the little banner at the bottom. I misspelled. Not that it really fucking matters, but I misspelled Mr. Jimmy Savile's name.
Oh.
Is he? Do we still call him Sir Jimmy Savile?
Nah, I would say not.
In death, is he still knighted?
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Okay. Anyhow, let's get this show on the road.
You're about to witness the strength of creep knowledge.
Good evening. Welcome to the Fortean Slip. This is episode 211. Jimmy Savile, Britainstein's monster. You crazy Brits. I watched through that documentary. How many times can a guy tell you that his trial date or his court date is next Thursday? How many hospitals and girls' jails can he work at before you realize that he's a fucking monster? I'm just curious. But then you all have Prince Andrew, too.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
That fucking lovely peach. I don't sweat. The fuck you don't. But yeah, so I watched through the lovely Jimmy Savile documentary. Did you get through the whole thing, Katie?
I did.
And how'd you enjoy said documentary?
Well, I have to admit, I was kind of surprised. I had never heard of the dude before.
Neither had I.
I feel like I'm pretty well versed in the realm of these sorts of things. But I was shocked. I hadn't heard of him. And as soon as I started watching, I mean, obviously I know where they're going with it, but it's like, yeah, this dude's a creep. How'd y'all not see that?
Oh my god, yeah. Holy fuck. Like he was totally a creep. Completely a creep. But as I was saying, I think I said this the last show. We were talking about this the last show, and I've said it before as well. We talk about strange and paranormal phenomenon on the show, and I try to always touch on that in the news. But I really think that the true monsters are the fucking people in this world. And this just came out, and I delved right into it. And I held off for a little bit so that people could, sink their claws into it or their teeth into it or whatever the case may be, and see what they thought of it. It's a really disturbing documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Because much like you, I knew exactly where it was going eventually.
Yeah.
And they do nothing but the documentary really just does nothing. It kind of like hints at it in the beginning.
Vaguely.
You're right. It's all just like kind of peripheral. It's off to the side. But oh my god. It once they started talking about all the different places he volunteered to work, I was like, y'all are fucking stupid. Like fucking stupid. To not look at that. And anyhow. But we will get into that at some point here this evening. Katie, anything going on with you this week? Anything new? Anything you want to bring to the table, I should say?
No, not really. Pretty basic, boring, regular, lovely life.
Yeah. I was telling you right before the show, I picked up a book and plowed right through it. Come With Me by Ronald Malfi.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the book, and I won't spoil anything for anybody. the premise of the book is a guy's married to a woman, and she gets shot in like this weird little altercation. It isn't really prevalent to the story, but and then he finds a hotel receipt paid in cash for 2 nights when he was gone, to a place that he has no idea about, and he starts looking into this, and it just gets he goes down this insane rabbit hole, and realizing that his wife was lying to him and not telling him the whole truth about everything. It's really good, and I recommend it. It's Come With Me by Ronald Malfi. It's really great. Peter Higgins says, finally get to listen live, and you're talking about this pedo cunt. Just my luck. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, Peter. I checked out the documentary, and he's definitely a pedo cunt. I'll agree with you on that, wholeheartedly. The Dude Brothers, that I guess it's a wave and something else. Hello, Dude Brothers, or the Dude Brothers. So yeah, I read through that, and I read that book in a day. It was crazy. I picked it up, started, and could not put it down. So I definitely recommend that if you're looking for something good to read. They'll keep you guessing and keep you entertained. That's for fuck sure. Trying to think of what else I've delved into recently. I know you're not watching it, Katie, but the Moon Knight Marvel show is fucking amazing.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's I've been really enjoying that. It's I won't get into it. It's too much for right now, but anybody who's watching it, I'm sure they'll agree with me. It's fucking great. I think they're doing a very good job of the split personalities of the character. The first couple of episodes were just spot on. So, but other than that, not much going on. There's still I guess there's still a war going on in the Ukraine.
Apparently,
I guess there's something going on over there. Still, I mean, I look at the news and I go, all right. I guess I don't know what to say about it. I'm very split or very conflicted about how to feel when I live in a country that does stupid shit militarily all the time. And I'm expected to, totally believe them that this is unlike anything that they would do, but yet they have. So I don't know. I think that what's going on over in Ukraine is horrible. And war of any kind is atrocious, but I don't know. I think that we get a lot of lip service from the government, and I think now more than ever, it makes me believe that the UFO shit might have some more credence, Katie. I think now more than ever, I could stand behind some of these UFO guys and go, you know what? Some of you crazy motherfuckers might have a point.
yeah.
It just seems to be getting that way. Like, the more I hear the government lie about shit or spread false narratives about shit. I mean, look at what just happened with the Hunter Biden laptop.
Right.
That whole fiasco, which I think is gross. And no one is taking anybody to task for it.
Right. There's a lot of gross stuff going on that nobody's being held accountable for.
Yeah,
A lot.
absolutely. And it just, to me, it seems like something's got to give. Something has got to give when it comes to the way the media is reporting. Like, what, if it's a free press, I mean, come on. Like, what? I don't know anymore.
Well, when I put my tinfoil cap on, which I try to rarely do, but when I do, and when
a Faraday cage hat, they sell those.
when you bring up the government and the media and their lies, and then also bring up UFOs, I still go back to this recent Pentagon release. They did that for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, but I'm sure they have one.
Oh, misdirection, you mean? David Copperfield?
I don't know. It feels like a backup plan that they can use. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm telling you, like, I've always, from the very beginning, like, they're releasing that shit for a reason.
Yeah. I think in some cases, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of propaganda that happens in this country.
Well, I'm not even saying that the release is propaganda, but I feel like there's a strategy in leaking that information.
Yeah, I don't know what the end game is, but Dean, good evening. He said good evening to somebody else, and then he said Chris and Katie too. So
hello, Dean.
Hello, Mr. Cooper. Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Wasn't that a fucking show?
Yeah, it was.
I want to say it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say my ex-girlfriend watched that when I was younger. Anyhow. Yeah, it seems like just such a weird time to be living in to me right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I find myself turning to way more independent media sources, not the mainstream media. I look at the mainstream media and I laugh.
Yeah.
CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all of it. I laugh. It's gross. And I just try to weave my way through what's out there and to get a true narrative. I mean, I look at what happened with the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting. Where this kid. Now, granted, I do not agree with what this kid did at all. I do not agree with what he did going there. Okay. But the media made it out to be that this kid was a racist. And if you paid just attention, you didn't watch any of the videos, didn't see any of the evidence. If you just watched the news coverage about this, you'd have thought that he actually shot black people.
Yeah.
It was all white people. And I think when a lot of people found that out, they were fucking shocked. Because the narrative, it was very targeted. The way they told the narrative about that, and the way they're doing this shit now, the way they did it with COVID, the way they're doing it with fucking the war, it's all very fucking targeted, and I think it's scary.
It is.
We're not getting factual news. We're getting the news as they want to give it to us.
We're getting spoon-fed.
Yeah. Like, it's just, so I look at it now and I just go, take it with a fucking grain of salt. There's a lot of people out there that you can look to, and I don't agree with all of them either, for the record. Like, I don't always agree with, like, Jimmy Dore, or I listen to Bill Maher. I don't always agree with Bill Maher. I watch Joe Rogan. I don't always agree with what Joe Rogan has to say. There's a couple other ones that I watch. Russell Brand. I think Russell Brand's take on shit right now is fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you haven't listened to anything that Russell Brand's been saying lately, like he's just got a beautiful way of doing it, and I love it.
He has a very wise perspective too.
Yeah. Matt Taibbi is a great journalist. You know, if anybody's looking for somebody who gets to the fucking core of the story, I think he's one of the great journalists of our time. But I'll get off that. We will get into the fucking news. You know, the really fake news.
The thing we were just bashing. Here we go.
And I mean, some of it's not fake. I mean,
yeah, no, there's good stuff out there.
We have some news that's worthwhile. From mynbc15.com. First, the leprechaun, and now this. Photos of Wilmer Bigfoot hoax go viral from Mobile, Alabama. I'm assuming that's what that is. You may have seen the pics circulation. The pics circulation. On social media Friday. The Mobile Sheriff's Office says they cannot confirm. We knew this was a job for NBC 15, so we reached out to Kenny Walker to find out a little more about the origin of the startling photos. It's a friend of mine, Taylor. We decided to make a TikTok video for April Fools, but it didn't work out as planned. So I just put a story together this morning. I did not expect it do what it's done. A radio Jesus. It's Alabama, all right. A radio station reached out earlier as well. I've been working 7/12s since, so I didn't have time to do anything with it. Now I'm off for a few days. Figured I'd make some people laugh and see how it would go. Kenny's Facebook post was not short on bold claims. Update. Mobile County Sheriff's Office just validated the photos, and Finding Bigfoot team has been deployed to Big Creek Lake in Wilmer, Alabama. I will update as information comes in. Oh God! So it was just a fucking hoax. I don't know if anybody saw these. Oh Jesus! I was just gonna share the page and it went all fucking wonky. Let's see here. Share screen. Those are the photos in question. I saw these the other day and I went, yeah. That does not look legit. I mean, I could be wrong, but didn't seem to look legit. So, anyhow. Our next story of the evening. Let's get into this one from I Fucking Love Science or IFLscience.com. Man masturbated so hard he tore a lung and required intensive hospital care. Doctors have reported an unusual, perhaps unique case of a man masturbating his way into hospital by way of a torn lung. The 20-year-old showed up to the emergency department with severe shortness of breath and chest pain. His doctors write in radiology case reports. As well as this, his face was swollen and cracking and rattling sounds were heard from his lower jaw down.
What the fuck?
Down his neck and chest and both his elbows. Cracking noises were heard as he breathed. He was moved to intensive care where he received oxygen and pain relief. A CT scan found that the man had a case of profound pneumomediastinum, where air has found its way into the space in the chest between the lungs. Air can make its way around the body and can be picked up by physicians feeling air bubbles underneath the skin on the chest, arms, and neck. The condition can be caused by trauma to the lungs or esophagus or through an abrupt increase in pressure within the pleural cavity, the space between the two membranes, or pleura, which surrounds each lung, known as spontaneous pneumomediastinum. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Spontaneous pneumomediastinum is a rare condition and usually affects young men in their 20s. I actually had that, by the way. not from jerking off.
I was just going to ask how you acquired it. I'm
The
sorry.
doctor's right in the report. I will go into that after. It can result from a variety of triggers like acute asthma exacerbation, strenuous physical exercise, excessive vomiting, or violent coughing. Except for mild asthma, dismissed as a cause by the team, the patient reported no other activity that could cause the condition. The only clue was the timing of his symptoms. He reported a sudden onset of sharp chest pain followed by shortness of breath while lying in bed masturbating, according to the doctors. The team notes that there are only a few reports of I'm not even going to fucking say it. Whatever it is. Being attributed to sexual activity, and we could not find any cases associated with autoeroticism, which makes our case unusual. It's possible that when he masturbated his way to whatever the fuck it is, he may have been involved in a world first. The condition can resolve itself with no need for medical intervention except in severe or complicated cases. The young man was kept in hospital for monitoring while his symptoms resolved and left within a week with no further chest pain and a hell of an anecdote about the time he masturbated his way into the ICU. So I don't know if I had the same, but I had what was known as a spontaneous pneumothorax, which also affects young men in their 20s, but it's tall, thin men. And I'd gone to work one morning, and I had a pain. All of a sudden, just in the morning, I just had pain in my back. Felt like my back slipped out. And I stopped at the gas station where I used to work to talk to my old coworker and have a cigarette with him. And I asked him if I could grab some ibuprofen. Went to work. I delivered radiators at the time. And I couldn't lift the fucking radiators to put them in the truck or the van. So I left and went home, called my doctor and asked him if I could come in. And they said, yeah. And after they took x-rays, the doctor was like, you need to come with me.
Wow. And
yeah, it was pretty scary, actually.
Yeah, it sounds scary.
It wasn't fun. And I didn't learn any lessons from it, I can tell you that. That's for sure. But I guess after I had it happen, I had a 25% chance that it would happen again in my lifetime.
Oh. Wow.
And it hasn't. But I guess there's always that chance.
Right.
But no, I didn't masturbate my way into it. I don't know how mine happened, to be honest. They said it was just because I was tall and thin. So I don't know if
something you're at risk for.
Yeah, I don't know if it was exactly the same thing, but it seems like they're along the same lines.
I say, well, this guy straight up had a hole in his lung that was leaking air into his body. So I don't know what a hemothorax is, but
a pneumothorax is
whatever.
It's a hole in your lung. It's a lung collapse.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, our next story of the evening from theguardian.com. Scientists hope to broadcast DNA and Earth's location for curious aliens. Even if the aliens are short, dour, and sexually obsessed, the late cosmologist Carl Sagan once mused, if they're here, I want to know about them. Driven by the same mindset, a NASA-led team of international scientists has developed a new message that it proposes to beam across the galaxy in the hope of making first contact with intelligent extraterrestrials. The interstellar missive, known as the Beacon in the Galaxy, opens with simple principles for communication, some basic concepts in maths and physics, the constituents of DNA, and closes with the information about humans, the Earth, and a return address should any distant recipients be minded to reply. The group of researchers headed by Dr. Jonathan Jiang, hoping I got that right, at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, says that with technical upgrades, the binary message could be broadcast into the heart of the Milky Way by the SETI Institute's Allen Telescope Array in California and the 500-meter Aperture Spherical Radio Telescope in China. In a preliminary paper which has not been peer-reviewed, the scientists recommend sending the message to a dense ring of stars near the center of the Milky Way, a region deemed most promising for life to have emerged. Humanity has, we contend, a compelling story to share and the desire to know of others, and now has the means to do so, the scientists write. The message, if it ever leaves Earth, would not be the first. The beacon in the galaxy is loosely based on the Arecibo message sent in 1974 from an observatory of the same name in Puerto Rico. That targeted a cluster of stars about 25,000 light years away, so it will not arrive anytime soon. Since then, a host of messages have been beamed into the heavens, including an advert for Doritos and an invitation written in Klingon to a Klingon opera in The Hague. Such attempts at interstellar communication are not straightforward. The odds of an intelligent civilization intercepting a message may be extremely low, and even if contact were made, establishing a fruitful conversation could prove frustrating when a response can take tens of thousands of years. Aliens may not even understand the signal. As a test run for the Arecibo message, Frank Drake, its designer, posted the missive to some scientific colleagues, including a number of Nobel laureates. None of them understood it. There are other concerns, too. More than a decade ago, Professor Stephen Hawking warned that humans should refrain from sending messages into space in case they attract the wrong sort of attention. If the aliens visit us, the outcome would be much as when Columbus landed in America, which didn't turn out well for the Native Americans, he told a Discovery Channel documentary. But Dr. Jiang and his colleagues argue that an alien species capable of communication across the cosmos may well have learned the value of peace and collaboration, and humanity could have much to learn from them. We believe the advancements of science that can be achieved in pursuit of this task, if communication were to be established, would vastly outweigh the concerns, they write. I'm going to stop that there. It goes a little further. I mean, hey, whatever. I think if aliens are out there, they fucking know we're here. Like if they're smart enough to know, they know. You know, I think it's one of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Do I think they come here or they've been here? I think the evidence points to yes. I think it points to yes. I don't know for what. I don't know in what capacity, but I think it points to yes. I think if you look at all of the evidence, I think if you look at everything we know, I think yes. What do you think, Katie? No?
I try not to think about it a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah?
But I want to say yes, but I'm not ready to say yes. I don't like thinking about space and aliens, and I try to not dwell on it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to come to a conclusion, honestly. It's a mystery I don't want solved.
I guess my hope is that if they're fucking real, okay, which I'm sure they are, but that it's not like fucking the aliens in Alien, in the movie Alien, or like that movie Life.
Right.
Pretty much like the alien.
Yeah,
thing.
I agree with that. I'm not like afraid of that sort of thing. I don't know. It's one of those.
Well, I am. I think that some type of pathogen or something is
Yeah.
more dangerous to us than like the actual aliens themselves. You know, sort of like the War of the Worlds thing.
That is scarier. The more microbial things, I think, are scarier to me than actual beings. But I don't know. It's a part of me that I've accepted that my brain just like can't compute, and I don't like to make it compute to think about space and aliens and time travel. And it's fun on the surface, but I can't dive in, Chris. I can't do it. It's just not in my personality. And I've just like accepted that about myself. Like it's fun and cool. I like to hear the stories, but I just can't allow myself to even ponder how I feel about it personally, as far as like, yes, I think it's real, or no, I think it's fake, or I believe you and I don't believe you. I just don't make up my mind about those things.
Yeah, it's easier. I hear you. Our next story of the evening from planetary.org. When will we explore Enceladus to find alien life? Saturn's small icy moon, Enceladus, hope I'm pronouncing that one right. Enceladus, I don't fucking know. Captured the imaginations of people worldwide when NASA's Cassini spacecraft saw it spewing plumes of water into space. This water comes from a global liquid ocean concealed beneath Enceladus's fissured crust. The water isn't liquid because of the sun's heat, but rather because of warming caused by friction between the parts of the moon's interior as it is tugged by Saturn's gravity. When Cassini flew through Enceladus's plumes between 2008 to 2015, its mass spectrometer found a variety of organic molecules, building blocks of life, as well as molecular hydrogen, carbon dioxide, methane, and rocky fragments likely coming from the moon's ocean. Cassini's observations suggest that Enceladus's ocean seems to have potentially habitable hydrothermal vents similar to those found in the deepest, darkest parts of Earth's oceans. Not only do various microorganisms like methanogens thrive near such terrestrial vents, void of sunlight, scientists think it's how life on Earth could have started in the first place. Extensive simulations support such microorganisms hypothetically surviving on ocean floors of Enceladus too. The chance to sample and study potential fragments of life in Enceladus's tantalizing plumes begs for a return to the Saturnian moon. I think that's probably going to be one of the first places that we find life outside of Earth is on one of those fucking moons.
Yeah, it's got all the signs for it.
I know Europa is the one that Neil deGrasse Tyson likes.
Yeah.
He wants to go fishing on Europa. He likes to say that a lot. Good luck, Neil.
Yeah.
I think you're a ways off from going fishing there, but
yeah.
But I think that's probably what's going to happen is we'll find something like that first. And if you've never seen the movie The Europa Report, that's another good one. It's about a group of scientists that go to Europa. And that's been out for a while. Great fucking movie. Well worth the watch. But yeah, I definitely think that's where the type of something that we're gonna find is before we make contact with some civilization outside of our solar system.
Again, that's almost kind of scarier of like
something closer.
Yes, and what could those microscopic things do to us here? I mean, they've still developed in a completely different environment, so I don't know.
That's weird.
Yep.
Our next story of the evening comes from Marca.com. Internet goes wild over possible UFO sighting in the Pacific Ocean. The internet has gone wild after reports of a possible UFO sighting in the Pacific Ocean, with a spot by Scott Waring located near the coast of Nazca in Peru. The images of a circle. Jesus Christ, that was weird. Just moved my whole article. The image is of a circle around 4.2 miles in diameter and visible from 352 miles off the coast of Lima. Yet what is puzzling UFO spotters is the fact that the circle appears to rise from a hill or a mountain, according to UFOsightingsdaily.com. Strange shapes can often appear on Google Earth and the ocean floor for a number of reasons, with the company using data from multiple sources to map the seafloor. Excuse me. And these sources have differing resolutions and level of detail. When this data is then stitched together, it is possible that a strange shape can appear, although this is merely just a graphic glitch. What does Google say? In a blog post written by the search engine company in 2016, the phenomenon behind the aforementioned graphic glitch was explained in detail. However, with this latest sighting of a perceived UFO, the company has made clear that the exact spot of Waring's finding occurs in the middle of a transect line where a shipboard sonar radar has passed. This makes it possible that the shape is merely a side effect of joining those multiple data sources mentioned in the blog post. I'll let you guys check this out. It looks interesting. I don't know if it looks like a UFO, but it looks like something. It looks like that.
So that's of the ocean floor.
Let's see if I can make it bigger. No, that doesn't help. That didn't help. That was a fucking Pinterest thing. Yeah, that's just, it looks like a circle.
That is interesting.
And it looks like a little button.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. Is it a UFO?
Probably not. I wouldn't reach that far, but it's interesting.
Probably not. Probably not. And that's the news, ladies and gentlemen, for this evening. On to our story, or our topic of the evening. Mr. or Sir. It still says Sir on the Wikipedia page. It says Sir James Wilson Vincent Savile. I much like you had no idea. I live in the U.S. I am not privy to British television, or we haven't been for, we don't see a lot of your shit.
No.
So, and I know that I have a few listeners from over in the UK. So, it was very interesting to me to see this and to watch it. Because like I said, to me, it seemed pretty obvious that this dude was a fucking creep. And that they just, it seems to me, now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm seeing this wrong. I'm totally willing to admit that. But it feels to me like that he was a creep, and it should have been seen much sooner than it was.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. But to give you guys an idea of this guy, Mr. Jimmy Savile, born October 31st, 1926, passed away 29th of October, 2011, so 2 days shy of his birthday, was an English DJ, television and radio personality who hosted BBC shows including Top of the Pops and Jim'll Fix It. He raised an estimated $40 million for charities during his lifetime. Savile was widely praised for his personal qualities and as a fundraiser. After his death, hundreds of allegations of sexual abuse were made against him, leading the police to conclude that he had been a predatory sex offender and possibly one of Britain's most prolific. There have been allegations during his lifetime, but they were dismissed and accusers ignored or disbelieved. Savile took legal action against some accusers. Now, they went through this guy's life. And I mean, I understand. Like, some people seem like kind of flashy and crazy, which he seemed.
Eccentric.
Yes, eccentric. That's a great word, Katie. He seemed eccentric.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like your normal type of guy, and I get why they gravitated to that. But as I was watching it and seeing how he was, I couldn't help but feel, and maybe it was a bias because of the documentary, I don't know, but that this guy was a creep. And that somebody should have seen this long before. But okay, so he did a lot of charitable work, and he raised a lot of money. And because of that, I think he got a pass in a lot of ways from people. I think they just looked the other way because they figured he did more good than he did harm.
Yeah.
I seriously think that was the case in a lot of these situations with people.
Well, he had the celebrity and the charity. I mean, both things are things that kind of give you a pass in society. Is celebrity on its own, and then, oh my gosh, you're doing all this charitable giving. Both of those things are very powerful.
Yeah, and I just, I have kids. I have daughters, and I mean, he abused all over the spectrum. It was boys, girls, I think they were as old as it was a 75-year-old woman that he did something to. I think they said in the documentary.
He didn't have a lot of limitations. That's for
No,
sure.
I think his proclivity was young girls though.
Mm-hmm.
And it really fucking irked me. You start hearing about how he volunteered at, like, it was like a girls' prison, basically, a young girls' prison. For girls that were really, not the good girls.
Yeah.
And, he would take them out and do things with them. And people thought that it was weird, but they still let it happen.
The weirdest one for me was honestly the paralytic hospital.
Oh yeah, the hospital that he worked at. Yeah.
It had like 200 paralyzed patients, and he had full access to that place with a key and everything.
Yeah,
Living quarters.
Just go in, do his thing.
I mean, that's really disturbing.
Yeah. The whole thing was disturbing. To hear that, some of the girls talk about, they didn't do a lot of testimonials on it.
No. They focused more on his accolades than they did his downfalls.
Right. But I think they did it well enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they brought it to a nice crescendo, because I think they wanted it to look like, hey, we let this guy do this.
Right.
Like, I feel like that's what they were trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
we let this guy do this. To so many people, we just let it happen. And I mean, when I, like I said, when I see something like this, it really just takes the fucking wind out of me.
Yeah.
Because it's like that someone like this exists. And I know that people like this exist. And listen, John Wayne Gacy was a fucking person. Albert Fish was a fucking dude. Ted Bundy was a guy.
Yeah, we've got our own specimens here in our society too.
Yeah,
so.
like, it's not. I mean, I think it's interesting that this guy was propped up for so long and just allowed to do this. I mean, I really feel like it was allowed. I think his celebrity and his status and the people that he had connections with all helped to allow him to be the predator that he was.
Yeah.
And
the thing that stood out to me the most, and I think the thing that I pondered most when I was done watching it, was when that lady was pulling out all these letters from Prince Charles and the royal family of like seeking his opinion on political matters,
Yeah.
And that was so bizarre to me, because I get that, okay, this guy's a celebrity, he can have some protection, but they were actively seeking out his opinion and made changes in the way the royal family handled things based on this dude's input. That really stuck with me. Like, that was really, really weird.
The one that got me was the woman that was at the paralytic hospital. Who they asked her, well, what do you think? And she's like, I have a hard time with it, because if it wasn't for the money that he spent on the hospital, I wouldn't have gotten the care that I got.
Right.
Like, and that's fucking rough too.
Right. She has an intense bias that she can't help.
Right. And it's like, wow, these poor fucking people that, because he really did victimize people.
Yeah.
And, maybe not that woman, but he victimized people.
Well, but I think that was part of his strategy. He wanted to make it look like his victims weren't outweighed by his, people that he helped.
Yeah. He was very calculating.
Oh yeah.
Very manipulative. And he used these people. He used these girls.
Yeah.
Just like things. And that's a true monster.
Yeah.
And that's a real fucking monster, people. And it's all fun and games. We like to talk about fucking Bigfoot and Chupacabra and fucking Mothman and Jersey Devil, all that happy horse shit, the Frogman, and all kinds of them. But the real monsters are the fucking people. I've delved into some pretty dark documentaries about serial killers and sex offenders, and it is gross shit.
Yeah.
You look into that and you just go, wow, how dark, how fucking dark. I finally watched something on the BTK killer, and not reading, but watching about that, what what he did, like that first murder that he did. That's the one that stands out like clearly in my mind, like what he did to the daughter in the basement. It just, and I'm not going to go into it, but
No.
it chills me to think about it. It's like, how does somebody do that? And how does somebody find gratification from that?
Right.
Because I'm gonna be honest, if something fucking goes wacky when I'm having sex, I get fucked up sometimes.
Right.
Like, I can't imagine like being aroused from those types of situations.
Yeah.
At all. And to me, it's just so beyond monstrous. It's ugh.
It's hard to comprehend that a human being could be capable of such a thing.
Yeah, and an old buddy of mine and I used to talk about this all the time, that we didn't understand. We were trying to understand why we were so fascinated with the concept of serial killers, like why we liked watching the movies, why we liked, looking into it, on the internet or whatever. And the conclusion that we came to was that we couldn't understand how someone didn't have a button that stopped them from that,
Right.
or a fuse, like a safety catch, like a shut off.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't fathom it, like being able to do that, to plan people's murders, or to go on a spree, or whatever the case may be. Like, just couldn't fucking wrap our heads around it. And that's what we came to. The conclusion that we came to was just we couldn't understand it, and we wanted to understand it.
Yeah.
Not because we wanted to be able to do it, but just
Right.
because not having that understanding of the human condition. But and then I look at like people in everyday life. Like, we deal with people every day when we go to the store or we go to work or whatever. And people run the gamut. And people suck. There are people who are cool, and there are people who suck.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time understanding how people can act the way that they act. Let alone kill fucking people.
Right.
So it's more of a thing where I just don't understand that. I don't understand what it is in those people. And I guess it makes me want to understand that, are they broken? And I think in all cases they're broken people.
Yeah.
And
sure.
if we looked at their past, we'd probably have some empathy. I think in a lot of those people, if we looked at their past, we would have a lot of empathy for them.
Well, and actually, I don't know, as a person who watches way too much true crime stuff, and admittedly, I've been a little desensitized to some of it, but the most fascinating cases are the ones where they didn't have a rough childhood and they actually had things pretty good. And somehow they've come to this, like it does beg the question of like, are some people just born this way? Of like, dude, you had every reason to turn out right, but you didn't.
They're just true psychopaths.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and those are scary people.
For sure.
Absolutely scary people. People that have no empathy or who are just out for themselves.
Yeah.
They're super scary. And I'm pretty sure I've met a couple in my life. I'm absolutely positive.
Yeah.
Probably more than a couple. Yeah. Oh yeah. I bet you I could point one out. Well, not right this second, but in my life. Yeah. Yeah. I bet you I could.
Yeah.
Easily. It's and that's not to say that person is a killer. Psychopaths can just be people. Then they don't ever fucking kill a person.
Right.
But those types of people, they're just they make you wonder.
Yeah.
Like I said, those are the real monsters. I look at an animal that's killing people or whatever, a shark attack. That's not a monster.
No.
That's a fucking animal doing its thing.
Right.
A bear attack. It's a fucking bear doing its thing. When I see a guy who has sexually abused over 450 people, that's a fucking monster.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they didn't fucking make him out of parts and stick bolts in his neck and, charge him with lightning, but they made him.
Right.
They made that motherfucker. And they allowed it to happen. And like I said, when I look at like the stuff that's happened, and now you've got fucking Prince Andrew with his bullshit, I just wonder how much of it was allowed. How much of it was overlooked, and how much of it was it that they didn't see.
Right.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I love the Brits. People of the UK. I mean,
I don't know though.
I'm all for them, but this is one I don't understand. And if somebody wants to explain it to me, if there's somebody that lives over there that wants to explain it to me, how that this happened and why this creepy motherfucker was allowed to do all this shit for years.
Well, to be fair, we've had our own very similar stories. Switch up the culture, switch up the realm of celebrity. We've had our own versions of this. So it's not that hard to believe, unfortunately. Like, it hurts me to say that, but it's kind of just like, oh, wow, that's your version of our fill in the blank,
Jeffrey Epstein.
Honestly, even just thinking about Jared, the Subway guy, what I mean? Like, there's so many examples that we could compare from U.S. soil to this example.
But I don't know that Jared had put up the numbers that Jimmy Savile did.
No, definitely not. For sure. But it's the same idea.
I don't know if they were in the same league.
Epstein was competing.
Oh, fuck yeah. Epstein had an island.
Right.
For Christ's sake.
You know what I mean? And even like people like Bill Cosby. Sure, it wasn't minors, but does that really matter?
No, Bill Cosby was a fucking sexual predator.
Right.
And the fact that he got out on a technicality, like,
it's bullshit.
It's gross that the prosecutor did that, for one.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's sad. We all grew up with him.
Yeah. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
You know, like there's a lot of us that, you know, and I'd say we all, there's people who are alive today who didn't grow up with him, but you know, I grew up with Bill Cosby. Like I
As did
grew up
I.
with fucking, you know, the Cosby Show. I grew up with, I had his comedy act on tape.
Yeah, I loved his stand-up comedy. I did. I loved it.
That is great. Give us a chocolate cake. Fucking love that
It
goddamn
was
album.
good stuff.
You know, he was a great, clean comics.
Yeah.
And I love I listened to Eddie Murphy, and then I would listen to Bill Cosby. You know, so yeah, absolutely. We've had people that we've propped up. I don't know that Bill Cosby came off creepy though.
True. True.
However, there are people who have said that it was well known.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's why I say it's not hard to believe that
Now,
he was allowed to do this, because there's been people in our society that are allowed to do it.
yeah, Harvey Weinstein.
Yep, another one.
Harvey Weinstein is one that it was well known. People made jokes about it at the Oscars and shit.
Yep.
Long before he ever went down. Yeah, that's a definite one. But this is a one where the guy, he was like 80 something when he died.
Right. Yeah. No, he lived a whole lifetime.
Lived
being
his
a
whole
beloved
lifetime.
Human.
Never really went under real investigation.
Right. Even though he gave off all the red flags, he had them in his hands, waving them high.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And this is one where it's, yes, we have had our fair share of those types of things here. I don't know if we've had anything as prolific as him. You know, 450. Oof. Those are some fucking numbers, Katie.
Especially when you consider that a majority of those 450 were clear underprivileged, vulnerable victims.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, ugh. I don't know. It just makes me fucking, yeah.
Yeah, it was gross.
It makes me feel filthy. You know, and not because I did anything wrong. Just makes me feel filthy watching it. Like
it just sucks that people like that exist. You just think like, ugh, I can't believe there's even people in the world that you got to watch out for like that.
Yeah. Like, why?
Right.
Why does this have to happen? Is it really necessary? Is that shit necessary? You know, and there are people who tell you, yeah. Who will tell you, you know, it's all part of the plan. You know, and hey, am I fucking omniscient? No, I'm not. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I'm not going to shit on anybody's whatever. However, when I see something like this, I just can't help but fucking think, does this really fit into any plan?
Right. Yeah.
Like, how does this sexual torture of all these girls fit into somebody's plan?
Yeah.
You know, and again, maybe I just don't see it. You know, maybe somewhere down the line that helped somebody. I guess, I don't know. But
it's hard. It's hard to see, especially when you have like your own child that you're putting out into the world. Now, granted, I didn't birth a child, but I do have a 14-year-old stepdaughter that, especially like as she's growing into a teenager, and I think about all the dangers in the world and like how I want to prepare for it. Like, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
To send her out into the world and just hope it all goes okay.
Good luck. Good luck to you there, little turtle. Good luck. I you know, my son's in college. I have a daughter and a stepdaughter. My stepdaughter's going to graduate this year. My daughter is graduating in a couple of years. You know, it's a weird world right now.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's so different from the one we knew, and I think that's what makes it even scarier.
Yeah, and I've heard before, you know, generations say, I worry about the world that we leave for our kids, but this is a time when I you know, I'm fucking seriously concerned.
Right.
Because it's getting just downright weird. Downright fucking odd. And I don't know that it's ever been any different. I'm not, because I've brought that up before too, that if you look back through time, media's never been unbiased.
No.
I just think right now it's really blatant. And I think in this case, the Jimmy Savile case, the media didn't help.
No.
They propped him up.
Yep.
They gave him his platform. And they made him a savior. That fucking Jim will fix it, doing things for people, for kids and shit. And that was even worse. The fact that he had the show that he did shit for kids.
Ugh.
Like,
there was a
fuck.
lot of gross things throughout that whole thing. That as you were watching, before you even knew it, you knew it. You're like, oh God, no.
Yeah. Anyhow, so you're gonna dive into The Invisible Pilot?
Yes, I am. I plan on starting it tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm gonna finish that up tonight. The third episode comes out tonight. I'm not gonna tell you a fucking thing.
No, I'll say
not
a thing.
It. Don't even watch the trailer. Have you watched the trailer?
Nope.
Don't watch the trailer.
I don't watch trailers. I don't do that.
Just fucking pick up the documentary, episode 1, watch it through, and I want you to text me when you're done with the first episode.
Okay.
Like, text me as soon as you're done, because I want to see the what the fuck.
Will do.
It's very good. I watched the second episode last Monday. It did not disappoint. And I'm curious to see how it all wraps up in the third one.
Nice.
So we'll have to delve into that one eventually. I'd like that. We'll do something. We'll get back into the paranormal swing of things. I'll try to figure out a topic, something for us to do for next week. I've been trying to throw stuff around in my brain. Nothing new from Fred on the new artwork yet. I am hoping to hear something from him within the next couple of weeks. He said he had a couple of things that he had to do beforehand, and then he was going to get into it. So I'm hoping to hear something from him pretty soon. And I might have another artist do some work. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. But I might do a revamp on the like page. So, and I will still always keep Fred's artwork, and I will still always promote the fuck out of Fred. Obviously, Fred's going to do the artwork for the podcast, so that stuff's going to be there. But I really kind of wanted to get a different feel on the like page art, so I want to run it by. I actually want to run it by Fred first because he's my guy. I have respected him for years. He did all the work for me for nothing, people, as a friend. And I've done things for him. I don't want you to think that I haven't. I've done things for him. But, I want to support him as much as possible. And that's why I always tell people to go check him out. Go watch his fucking videos.
He does great work.
Yeah, give the man some fucking love. The people like that do that type of work, they're a fucking blessing. He does some amazing shit. So, or order some of his shit. He's got all kinds of stuff. He's got artwork that he sells, and he also does custom shit. But I know that it's hard to get. Like I had to hit him up, and he's like, "Oh, I'll fit you in," because he's got quite a bit of work right now. So check Fred out. He's a great guy. You can check him out at youtube.com/dreadfund and at dreadfund.com. As always, check us out. The podcast goes up on Anchor at anchor.fm/the Fortean Slip. You can find it wherever podcasts may be found. Please subscribe to the podcast. Download the podcast. I don't rate the podcast. I don't know what you do with that shit. Get our numbers up there, people. Things are going very well. So let's see them continue to rise. And as always, go to facebook.com/the Fortean Slip. That is the like page for the show. It's mostly just its own thing. It's become its own little monster where I post shit and do shit, and the show just kind of winds up there. And so it's kind of its own thing. So go check that out and follow that page. And Katie and I will be back next week with another episode of the Fortean Slip. Like sands in the hourglass. These are the days of our lives. I couldn't even commit to it, Katie. But until next time, see ya!